This video is for Black girls who have never fit in. I am a Black girl who has never fit in, and I have thought something was wrong with me for most of my life based on the environments that I was in. And so the message of this video is, you're a flower, you're just in the wrong soil. If you also struggle fitting in places and you have been taught to contort yourself or take parts off of yourself to gain external validation, to gain acceptance, which we're all really in search of as human beings, you're not alone. This is something I struggle with myself as I am becoming an adult and realizing that a lot of the wounds that I have are still rooted in childhood. One of the things I talk about on my channel, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. We talk about Black women and femmes healing, liberating ourselves from shame, from guilt, and really finding our authenticity once again. So I'd love to have you subscribe if you're not already. But yeah, that's one of the things I have talked about, right? Childhood trauma and understanding that the majority of our brain development happens before the age of 9. So if you encountered bullying, abuse, traumatic events before the age of 9, realize that that still likely has an impact on your life in adulthood. Those things don't go away. And that's one of the biggest issues with the way that the West views our lives, our life experiences as human beings, that we're just expected to cut off everything that has happened to us prior to 18, and we're just new people once we turn 18, adults, this arbitrary age. That's not true. That's not true. Who we were as younger people is still who we are. How we were impacted, how we were affected, the traumatic events that we experienced during these times, we still carry them with us in the adult relationships, interactions that we have. And so how can we go back and remember what happened to us? And sometimes that takes time, that can be difficult, especially for very traumatic things, right? And this is where something like therapy would be very important. I will link therapy resources in the description section. But it's really taking time to reflect on how you got here and understanding that you cannot cut off your experiences prior to 18. Those things that you went through, the encounters that you had with different people, the bullying that you may have experienced, those things are still deeply embedded in your psyche. Your brain holds the memory of those things, and it can be something very small in an interaction that you have in adulthood that can trigger a response that you had in childhood. And you have the agency and power to begin to change those reactions that you have if you want to. You have the agency to do that. And part of that healing process is going back, literally combing back through your childhood, through adolescence. What did you go through? One of the workshops that I hosted with Angela Kanu, a fellow Black woman social worker, earlier this year, is healing from childhood attachment wounds. So if you experienced in your very early years from like 0 to 3, so we're talking like when you first arrived on earth, a relationship with a caregiver that was inconsistent, that involved abuse, that you couldn't really predict their behavior, you weren't able to rely on them for your survival when you needed them, when you literally couldn't rely on anybody else. This could create an attachment wound. You can have an anxious attachment style, which I'm healing from. You can have an avoidant attachment style or a disorganized attachment style. So these are things to keep in mind. They may be impacting how you're showing up in adulthood. So if you are someone who has never fit in, right, like me, if you have experienced bullying, how are these things showing up in adulthood? And really just sitting with that question. It may be a journaling prompt. How are these things impacting me? How am I not able to trust people in interactions going forward at the big age, right, at my big age of 30, which I know some people still say like is a baby. But how am I still carrying out those interactions that I had so early on? Where people rejected me, where people ostracized me, where people were like telling me I didn't belong. How am I still carrying that as a 30-year-old woman when I am interacting with people, when I'm developing new relationships? How am I still sitting with that trauma because that is trauma. Anything that impacts you, right? Anything that changes your brain, bullying changes your brain. I mean, I think especially in Western culture, it's kind of viewed as part and parcel of growing up, you'll be bullied. That's not true. It actually has a tremendous impact on our self-esteem, our self-worth, how we move through the world, what we believe that we deserve. If someone told us very early on, when our brains were in those crucial development stages, that something was wrong with us, that doesn't just go away. That's very deep rooted. And so start to begin to explore those times in your life where you have felt ostracized, where you have been picked on, where you, and I put picked on in quotes because it's much deeper than that. When someone's calling you out, singling you out for part of your appearance, something about you that you can't change, how does that impact you? You start to internalize that a lot of the times if something is wrong with you. And a lot of us will go within. We'll start to take on layers, right, to protect ourselves in harsh environments. And if that is the case for you, I want you to know you have the power to begin to shed. Just as you've taken on those layers to survive, you can also shed those layers to come back into your authentic self. That person you were who was bullied because you were in the wrong environment, you were a flower in the wrong soil. You have the power as an adult to now plant yourself in fertile soil, in soil that supports you, uplifts you, encourages you. And I think that's one of the benefits of online communities that I have found. Being around like-minded people, sensitive people like me. Shout out to my sensitive Black girls out there. Yes, it's real. Being around people who get you, who want to see you win. That can change so much. Who reflect back to you, right? You're amazing. You bring all of these amazing qualities to every space that you're in, and who want to see you thrive. That can do a lot. That can do a lot. So if you are, again, a Black girl who has never fit in, I am too. And I'm just in a process of healing those parts of myself, going back, getting the girls that I left behind throughout the years that I've grown and evolved. I'm going back and getting them. Those little versions of myself that now I know nothing was wrong with them. Now I know the things that they were interested in. Right? I can pick those back up. As a 30-year-old woman, it's like, yeah, let me start drawing again. Let me start sketching dresses again, which I love to do. Picking those activities back up because those were always meant to guide you to something greater. The things that we naturally like to do, that we gravitate towards, that's the compass in life. And so if you never fit in the environments that you were in, how do you begin to process what you went through, begin to heal, and also uproot yourself from environments that are not serving you into environments that are, and really sit in the fact that you deserve that. That is something that should be afforded to you. And nothing was ever wrong with you. Really sit with that. You were just a flower in the wrong soil. So if you want to work with me one-on-one to begin to reclaim those parts of yourself, if you're working through that, rebuild your self-confidence after being in harsh environments, I will link my scheduling link in the description section. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for future content like this going forward. We are here to liberate ourselves as Black women and femmes, and I'm so glad you're here. Until next time, y'all. Bye.